Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ainsley News. And in news today, we're going to be talking about the point of no return. While the world's central banks have been buying government bonds with freshly printed currency hand over fist since the GFC, the Bank of Japan stands out as both the first to monetize debt in such a way, starting in 2001, but also facilitating Japan holding the title of the world's most indebted nation with a debt to GDP ratio of over 260%. Ray Dalio has previously argued their real debt burden, including private debt, stands at around 450%. This all came from the Bank of Japan desperately trying to reflate the economy after it crashed in the 80s. What should be a poster child of the ultimate failure of constant easy money policy from a central bank sadly has become the norm. Boy has been suppressing rates to the point of being negative for years and printing money since the early 90s, and still the economy is tepid and unable to reach their target inflation rate of 2%. On the 10th of February 2022, whilst all Western central banks are talking of tightening amid inflation, Boy announced it would buy an unlimited amount of 10-year government bonds, JGBs, at 0.25% to counter the rising bond yields around the world and suppress local lending costs, from Reuters on the day. The announcement came after the benchmark 10-year Japanese government bond yield rose to 0.23% on Thursday, the highest since 2016 and close to the implicit 0.25% cap the BOJ set around its target of 0%. Topically, Crescat Otavio Costa just tweeted, and you should see the tweet now. Surprise, surprise, gold in Japanese yen terms just reached record levels. It's what happens when a central bank announces unlimited purchases of its own 10-year government bonds to finance its debt. Inevitably, this will be the case with every fiat currency in the planet. But again, Japan was just the first. The G4 central banks have now amassed over $30 trillion of debt instruments on their balance sheets. They've been able to manage that via record low and in many instances negative interest rates, but something is changing. Now you should see the chart for global negative yielding debt. The inevitable handbrake of inflation has been absent. The only inflation was in financial assets that they and their rich buddies were enjoying the fruits of, and which, indeed, made everything look awesome. But now we have real inflation at the consumer, or to call it out, at the voter level, and now they need to act. To leave the rest behind in growing wealth since this experiment began is one thing, but now to effectively tax them through inflation on top of that will ultimately see a revolt, and that's just not politically palatable. Such the quandary. The world is now sitting on a debt pile of gargantuan proportions, some $300 trillion of the stuff. Now you should see another image. Global debt by sector in USD. As with the Japan example, when this destined to fail experiment does fail, gold will inevitably shine. Short-term gyrations are merely that. Threats of war come and go, but sometimes wars are a convenient means of resetting such a mess. Matthew Piepenburg of goldswitzerland.com puts it nicely into perspective. As currencies expand and in turn debase, as bubbles rise and in turn crash, as pundits squawk and in turn vanish, and as debt rises and in turn destroys, gold is always the patient real asset, which, unlike any other, gets the last word over the increasingly discredited words we are hearing from on high today. For those who know as much about history and math as they do about currencies and debt bubbles, the daily gold price is never a concern, as the long-term play is always clear and always the same. Gold is the ultimate insurance against currencies and systems already burning to the ground. So there you go, guys. That's the news for today. Hope you enjoyed it. For any gold and silver, please visit ainsleyBullion.com.au, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.